alive. But the head center is a pressure that is not a motor. It's not like the root. Oh, the root center is really something. This is the adrenal system. This is the motor that carries the most, let's say, initiating quality, if you will. The 9 gates that come out of the root center, truly, they are about being. They are here to initiate being. They're driving forces. And everything about the nature of the pressure that comes out of the root, that the pressure that comes out of the root is the pressure that demands that we live a physical life. A physical life. How different it is when you look at the head center and its 3 gates, and you look at the root center and its 9 gates. You know, there is this enormous pressure on our form because it is here in the body that truly that we live the life. The life isn't lived from the way in which we conceptualize. As a matter of fact, the way in which we conceptualize is a very byproduct of the way in which this physical instrument operates. And at the same time, to see very clearly that when you're looking at the 9 gates that come out of the root center, what you're looking at is 9 essential ways in which the vehicle must operate. That is the way in which the vehicle throughout the species must operate. Let's think about the root and its relationships. The root center is very cut off in a way. I mean, the root center has access to 3 other centers, to the spleen, to the emotional system, and to the sacral center. The relationship between the sacral center and the root center is really the very basis and foundation upon which this vehicle, in essence, operates. As a matter of fact, the channels between the root center and the sacral center have a unique titling. They are called formats. They are format energies. Later in this series, I'm going to take you through an overview of these format energies. But what is important to understand about them is that this is the main energy source for the collective and individual process in life. It is the main energy source. Not only is it the main energy source, but rooted in the root center itself is the very essence of all of our genetic possibilities. It's interesting to think about that. That is, the genetic possibilities that emerge through the sacral. But the potentials, which material, what is going to be retrieved that will become part of the next genetic flow, this is something that comes from the root center itself. Not only that, but the root center creates something that is very profound. And what it creates through the format energies is that it creates a unique frequency for the collective and individual processes. A unique frequency. If we look at the individuality of the 60th gate to the 3rd gate, the channel of mutation, we get the frequency of the pulse, And because this is a format energy, it means quite literally that every single individual aspect in the body graph, in one way or another, carries this frequency, this pulse. It's there, it's not, it's there, it's not, it's there, it's not. And always the possibility of mutation taking place. When we go to the abstract process, the 42nd gate to the 53rd gate, in looking at the abstract process between the root center and the sacral center, we get a frequency that is called cyclical. It's cyclical. And everything about this maturation channel, this maturation process, is that it means that every single abstract gate, every single abstract aspect within the body graph operates in a cycle, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Cyclical. It's something to grasp about understanding the basic frequencies of the collective and the individual, is that you can begin to understand the processes inherent in any gate. You know, if you're dealing with an abstract gate, wherever that gate happens to be, that it's always going to go through cycles in terms of the way in which it develops. So we've seen the cycle, and we've seen the pulse. And when we go to the logical side, that is the logical format, the 52nd gate, keeping still mountain, going up to the 9th gate, this taming power of the small, that what we get is this pattern, this fixed pattern, step by step, cycles, patterns, pulses. You see, out of the root center comes the basic structure, the basic way in which the various elements within the body graph are pressured to operate. They're pressured in this way. Funny about the root center. When you think about the open root center, the not-self strategy of the open root center is always to feel under enormous pressure and be in a hurry to get rid of that pressure. It can be an incredible burden on the not-self human being walking around with an open root center and never feeling free of the pressure. I mean, no matter how much I can offer you any theoretical description of the way in which this pressure operates in these various gates, to really understand it is to look at the world around you and to grasp that all of the beings on this planet, and there are so many of them, who have an open root center, that in essence they give this haste to the story of life. It is the open root center beings that are driving themselves and everybody at an unrealistic pace, a pace ultimately that is going to collapse. This is a very, very profound pressure system, and one cannot escape its impact. If you carry any collective aspect, any individual aspect, they resonate deeply to what is their format frequency. Within the formats, what we have is the possibility of what the generated life can be. The relationship between the root and the sacral directly, the formats, is perhaps the most extraordinary relationship between centers in the body graph. Because it is this very relationship and the extraordinary power of the sacral center in the world, that it is through this relationship that the world itself, that life itself is generated, and generated within these particular frequencies. It makes up the world that we live in, all driven by this pressure that is there in the root. Let's think